I think for anyone who's coming on board, you couldn't ask for someone better, and just use your franchisor, use the other franchisees around you, use the people within Jim's corporate. Called the call centre a few times. They're always happy to help. I've had a couple of IT issues. I've spoken to IT. Always happy to help. I've spoken to yourself about marketing and Facebook and other things. Always happy to help. Barry, the franchisees, always happy to help. So that's for me the biggest thing, is that everyone wants you to succeed.
So today we're joined by Gary. You've just done your first month with Jim's Mowing, and Jim sends an email to everyone after their first 30 days, and some people reply and some people don't, but you sent a really great reply. And what Jim generally does is he forwards it on to me, to hopefully you agree to be interviewed, because we love sharing these success stories of someone as well. And Gary, just want to talk a bit about yourself, Gary, about what you were doing prior to Jim's Mowing, and how did you actually become a franchisee?
Yeah, hi. Thanks, Joel. I spent 37 years in the IT industry. So I just decided I'd had enough. It was time for a change. Sick of sitting behind a desk and getting fat. So did a lot of homework. I mean, I've looked at various franchising opportunities over the years. Didn't really like what I saw with most of them once you sort of dug into the guts of the agreement. And I wanted something simple. And, look, this is a simple business. And so to me, that was one of the greatest appeals, as well as, the Jim's group. It's like you look at lawn mowing, it's Jim's is the first name that comes up, always does. So yeah, that was really the attraction for me. And once I started sort of peeling the layers back and having a look at it, it was the only way to fly.
Now, did you have a passion for gardening or something, or you just like the industry, or what was it about?
Mate, not really. I mean, look, I'm a farm boy originally, so I suppose I grew up hard work, working outdoors, and yeah, after all those years working in an office, it was good to get sort of back to my roots almost, and get back out in the fresh air.
Oh, were you guys dairy, beef, cattle, crops?
So we had sugarcane and beef cattle up in the Tweed in far northern New South Wales.
We've been some hard work, I can imagine, growing up.
Lots of hard work. But as my dad always said, hard work never killed anyone. But it's also, combining that with working a bit smart. And, it's just great to get back outdoors and, losing weight, getting fit, getting healthy. I'm 57 and I'm feeling like I'm 40.
That's great to hear. It's a benefit we don't often promote enough about gyms, but it's sort of like you get paid to go on a fitness regime and earn good money.
Mate, I've dropped about 7 kilos in the first
days. Yeah, see, forget Ozempic and all that sort of stuff. I think Jim's Mowing is the way to go. But so coming from so you had a bit of your background with your farm. So that's great from doing what you're doing now. But in regards to doing the training and all that sort of stuff, then how did you go with that? Because you're coming from a completely unrelated field, which was IT for a long time, into Jim's group. It can be quite an adjustment, and it can be very scary as well, going from that stable paycheck to coming to this. So how did you find that whole process?
Look, I mean, this isn't my first rodeo when it comes to having my own business. Even within IT, I've had my own business a couple of different times. So it's that particular part of it wasn't terribly scary for me. The training I thought was fantastic. The wealth of experience and knowledge that we were exposed to from the various instructors down there was amazing. And, I've said it to a few people, if you can't make this work, it's not the system, right? It's not gyms. It's an individual thing. And look, I just think it was just soaking it all in and just asking lots of questions. And that's the thing I would encourage anybody who does the training, is ask lots of questions. I've been to plenty of seminars and conferences with IT over the years, and you can guarantee you're sitting there thinking, I don't want to ask this question because I'm going to look like an idiot. Everybody in the room is thinking the same thing, and they're waiting for someone else to ask. So, the only stupid question is the one that isn't asked. And the fact that the instructors from Jim all the way through were happy to share knowledge and answer questions was just fantastic.
Because you said in your email, which I thought was really good, it's the system thing as well. I agree with you. Obviously, we're a bit biased, but what is it about the system then? Like, when you say you follow the system, you just describe it to people, actually, because they're probably going, what's this magical system? Like, what does it actually mean? What is involved? Yeah,
well, look, I've done zero marketing of my own. That's probably the biggest one. So, I've spent time in sales, in IT sales, right? And I know what I'm good at, and I know what I'm not good at. Business development, I'm not good at. Jim takes care of that. That, for me, that's the biggest thing. The Jim system takes care of the business development. It just feeds your leads. And so it's using the tools. It's using Jim's jobs. It's using Jim's online, following the advice of the franchisor, the other franchisees, Jim, the various instructors. It's just plug in and just soak it all in and use it. Like, the information's all there. So when I talk about following the system, to me, that's the system, is the 30 plus years of, well, this is how we do this. There's no magic formula. Right? That's all been worked out. If anything, it's turned this off. Don't overthink it. Keep it simple and just do it. And it's just so easy. I mean, it's hard work. Don't get me wrong, but it's just simple. It's a simple business, and it if you follow it, it just works.
And who's your franchisor? Is it Chris? Is it
Barry Walker?
Oh, Barry Walker. Sorry, Barry up in so you're up in the Gold Coast area.
Gold Coast. Yeah.
Yep. And Barry's been around for many of years. So how's your franchisor been in your first month? How many times have you need to talk to him, all that sort of stuff?
Look, the first couple of weeks I was talking to him probably every day or every second day. Probably driving him a little bit crazy.
That's a good way to. That's what they're there for.
Well, and again, that comes back to that. Don't sit on a question. So I'd pop him an email, I'd give him a call, and we were talking, almost daily. And Barry's been great. And I think there's for anyone who's coming on board, you couldn't ask for someone better. And just use your franchisor, use the other franchisees around you, use the people within Jim's corporate. Called the call center a few times. They're always happy to help. I've had a couple of IT issues. I've spoken to IT. Always happy to help. I've spoken to yourself about marketing and Facebook and other things. Always happy to help. Barry, the franchisees, always happy to help. So that's for me the biggest thing, is that everyone wants you to succeed. And what more can I say?
That's it. And I was going to say maybe the first couple of weeks, and what were the questions mainly? Was it about quoting, or was it about how to deal with this, approach this job? Where do you think, because first 30 days is a great thing because you've gone through that sort of period where it's an unknown sort of thing. So has it been quoting, or what's it been more?
Yeah, some of it was quoting, like how to approach quoting, how to get the best out of Jim's Online as well. Like getting that set up properly, so that I wasn't getting jobs from Redland Bay to the New South Wales border. That's so just a lot of quoting was a big one. So probably I suppose half my questions were to do with quoting, like how do I approach this? I mean, let's face it, we can all mow a lawn, we can use a whippersnipper, we can do the mechanics, but it's how to apply those mechanics. And so that was really where it was at for me, was the bulk of the questions.
Yeah, for sure. And how's the body adjusted as well?
Oh, look, yeah. It's definitely, I can definitely feel myself. I mean, I think I'm in week 6 now, so I can definitely feel the body starting to harden up. The first few days was torture. Not gonna lie. I mean, I'm a natural sweater, so I carry a couple of spare shirts in the car with me during the day, and I mean, I'll be changing my shirt every couple of hours because I'm just drenched in sweat. I don't think that'll ever change, and obviously it's a very humid environment here on the Gold Coast as well. So. But yeah, look, the body's starting to harden up. I mean, I'm not. The first couple of weeks, I was physically spent by the time I got home, and that's good. But yeah, it's definitely adjusted pretty well, even for these old bones.
So I was going to say, because we don't want to make it sound like it's easy. So you mentioned hard work a couple of times, which is great to point out to people. So from a hard work aspect, is it just, as you said, the physicality of it, going from that 30, from that desk job to just the shock to the system, and you've just got to keep pushing through it. And then once you push through it a little bit, your body starts adjusting it, and you're not as tired in the day, that sort of thing.
Well, it's to me, it's like starting any. If you go on a fitness kick, like you can't go too hard too quick. You've got to give yourself time to adjust and get used to it, especially, you get older and maybe been a bit sedentary. So you've got to give yourself a bit of time and not set out to, like I didn't set out to have 10 jobs a day from day one because I knew I wouldn't physically cope with it. So, I suppose, I used the lead system to help manage my workload so that, I didn't set it on give me 9 leads a day or give me as many as you can throw at me. I think I started out with give me 2 or 3. So that way I was sort of doing half quoting, half jobs through the day, and then it ramped up. I think I bumped it up to maybe 4 at the most. And, and that's got me a steady stream of work in that, that month period. So, this week I've actually got leads turned off because it's pouring rain up here. So everyone's just playing catch up with all the wet days. But yeah, it's just give yourself time, I think, to adjust.
It's really good advice, Gary, because a lot of people, when they go all areas and they want to work from everywhere, and then that first lead, this week they might get 20 leads in a day or 10 leads in a day, and they get complaints because they haven't called someone back or something. So I think it's a really good bit of advice there, what you said.
Yeah, look, 100%. And that was advice that came from Barry as well, not to go, be careful to adjust make sure you go into gyms online, trim the areas down so that you're not, driving 2 hours between quotes. Try and keep it fairly local, and don't go too many, because for exactly that reason, because if you try and, it's an old thing, if you try and please all the people all the time, you'll end up pleasing no one. Yeah. So for me, again, that's the gym's key message is, it's all about customer service. And you can't provide a good level of consistent level of customer service if you're just chasing your tail all the time.
Yeah, good point. So what to you has been good customer service? Because there's obviously a lot of conjecture all the time. We obviously post a lot on social media. You always get independents jumping in saying, "Oh, I've quoted a job from gyms that was ridiculous," or "I fixed this." Like all the time we get it, right? So what's to you as good customer service? Or why do people prefer to use Jim's Mowing?
Look, for me, the definition of customer service is pretty simple. It's treat people the way you'd want to be treated. That's number one. And it'll be number 2 and 3. So I was having with the wet weather, and I was having a conversation with a lady last week, one of my already regulars. Her section of her lawn was quite wet, and I just said to her, "Look, I'm not going to push the mower across it. I'll do it with my whippersnapper, because I wouldn't do it to my lawn. I'm not going to do it to yours." Simple as that. And it's not. I think we get a bit wrapped up in trying to overcomplicate stuff, and I think if you put yourself, for me, this is certainly my approach. I just put myself in their shoes, and what would I expect, and treat them in that way, and seems to be working so far.
And have you gone with the knowledge as well? Like obviously, in your field, learning out in the field, you probably come across things that you're maybe not familiar with in terms of plants or something like that. Is there something where you're calling the franchise, or you're doing a quick Google search? How are you sort of getting the knowledge in those areas?
Just asking questions again. Dr. Google's always handy. And look, I am planning on doing I believe Jim is still looking to offer the horticultural next year. So I'm definitely planning on enrolling in that, because, this is basically my retirement plan. I'm not anticipating another career change at this age. So, this is what I want to do with the rest of my working life. So I've got a thirst for knowledge. So, for me, I just want to get onto that course and just increase that knowledge. But it's also talking to, the guys at the chemicals, the chemical supply place we use, talking to them, getting their advice, talking to other franchisees, talking to, at the green waste tip. You never know who you're going to meet at the green waste tip. So just talking to other mowing guys there. Oh, what have you struck? How do you do this? What's your thoughts on that? I've not found anyone yet who's not willing to have a conversation.
Yeah, it's great to hear. And we hear that sometimes, a lot of people who think about Jim's Mowing go, I see so many gyms in the area, everyone's competing with each other and not helpful, or going to be this and that. So it's great. Obviously, it's the opposite, as you know.
Oh, mate, look, one of the things, I suppose one of the key takeaways that I took from the training is that you don't need 500 customers to be a successful Jim's Mowing franchisee. Like 80 is plenty. And so there's plenty of people out there. If each of us has 80 customers, and the number will vary depending on workload and how hard you want to work, all that sort of stuff, what your earning expectations are, etc. But if you work on that sort of 80 odd customers, there's like the Gold Coast's got 750,000 people.
A lot.
There's plenty to go around. There's plenty for everyone.
Absolutely. And people will pay for good service as well, which is, I think, people they underestimate. That gone are the days with the $20, $30 lawnmower person's going to be around so they can do it. But yeah.
Mate, I've picked up so many jobs and most of them have come through leads where it's, I was using a guy, but he became unreliable. I was using a guy, but he stopped doing it. I was using a guy, but I hear that so often. And I suppose that's one of the strengths of the gym's system. There's that word again, that, if I can't do it for whatever reason, like say I'm crook, and we've had this up here just recently with one of the guys being ill, there's 15 other gyms guys around that can pitch in and help. So that's, again, one of our strengths, I think, and that's, again, an attractant and part of the system, and it attracts customers because, that we do have that, gyms does have that reputation for reliability.
Absolutely. We won't go missing. And that's the thing. We won't go missing. And we stand out, but we're doing a new campaign in Jim's Mowing. I think it's going to be titled "It's Better with Gyms," and the reason being is because of exactly what you said about customers. They might try the cheaper alternative first, and then, as you know from yourself, with a lot of work that you've got, they don't rock up or they're just unreliable. This sort of thing as well. So when you use gyms, you can't do that because the system, you get a complaint, it kicks you. You got to do something about it. So yeah.
Oh, look, mate. Even yesterday, and case in point, I had a text from a lady who I quoted from a lead a couple of weeks ago. I went and gave her a quote. I'm discussing it with her. And she said, oh, she showed me a video on her phone. Oh, this guy said he'd do it for 60. And I said, well, good luck to you. You know, get him to do it for 60.
Yep.
And, you know, here it is 2.5 weeks later, she's ringing me going, oh, can you come and do my lawn? So what do you do? And I certainly won't be matching the $60. It'll be what I originally quoted her, if not more, if she hasn't had it done since I quoted it. So
look, we love hearing that, and Jim would love hearing that, because I think Jim's quite openly saying now, if you want the cheapest, Jim is mowing's not the right thing. But if you want
premium service,
exactly, premium service for a great product, great customer experience, and the Jim script backing as well. And I think people, once they have that bad experience doing that, they learn the lesson, and then they think it's better with Jim's.
Like in IT, we used to have a saying. Went around for years that no one ever got fired for buying IBM. I think Jim's is the lawn and garden maintenance equivalent of that saying.
It's a great saying. We'll have to clip that one up. I'll have to tell my guys to clip that. But that's a really good point. And I think that's the case, you know. And yeah, it's quite frustrating sometimes. We get a lot of independents jump on staff and say this and that. But I just think customers who use Jim's, quite frankly, once they use Jim's, have a good experience once. They never go anywhere elsewhere. And I know myself, I've had non-Jim's people come and do certain things for divisions we don't have. And the difference is quite astounding. And it's something where, you know, and when you have a Jim's franchisees compared, it's just miles apart. And I think the things what you said about customers, actually, you're treating a customer like you want to be treated. I think that's a really, really big thing. I think it goes a long way now. And a lot of people sometimes don't get that when it comes to customer service.
Oh, look, mate, you know, and I know that, I mean, I'm obviously, you know, a few years older than you, but customer service only just. Customer service standards in this country have declined.
Yep.
Dramatically over the last decades, and it's getting harder to get good service. And I think, you know, you made a valid point. People are happy to pay for good service and for a quality outcome. And if we continue to maintain that, then I mean, I've not lost, well, apart from that one lady who showed me a video on $60, I've not lost a job based on price. And, you know, I'm sitting there looking on, geez, am I underquoting? But I'm happy with what I'm charging. So, you know, look, I'm not, it's an interesting dynamic. But yeah, I think that's a really big thing for me is, just treat people the way that you'd like to be treated. And that seems to work.
Yeah, I think people will pay for good customer service. And I think as well as the franchisee, our priority is the franchisee, right? And we don't want you to have customers or leads come through to you that are after a $20 or $30 bow, or the cheapest, and they're going to shop you with 5 people and try and shop you around. You know, like it's not a good customer base or customers that you want. And there's obviously platforms for those people, but people who want a good service and expect a good service as well, that's where Jim's, and we're happy to pay for it. That's where the Jim's brand sits.
Yeah, well, I think too, and important, and again, I learned this in sales years ago, that if you have to win a deal on price, you don't have a customer, you've got a deal. And then they're going to go and shop in next time on price. So whereas if you provide the right level of service and provide value, and that's the key word, if you're providing value for what you're charging, then you've got a customer. And, you know, it's not that hard. You take a little bit of interest in them, you know, remember stuff. It's not that hard.
It starts with the quoting process, I think. So you just said a great word, than the value, right? So how do you demonstrate the value during the quoting process? Are you walking the customer around the job, or how do you sort of do that to show the value during that process?
Yeah, 100%. Walk around with them, explain to them, you know, what my thought process is, rather than just pull a number out of my head and say, well, here it is. It's all okay. Look, you know, I think we can do this here. What are you wanting to achieve here? Yeah, just again, asking questions. And I think if it's getting them talking about what they want, and once they start, they actually, it clicks for them that there actually is quite a bit of work in what they're asking for, then, you know, there's not such a shock when you hand them the quote. You know, the job, I finished a job yesterday and I went and quoted it. They'd been in the house over a month and it hadn't been mowed for a month before they moved in. So you can imagine what the grass was like. And of course, it's been raining on and off for over a week up here. And I just said to them, there's no way in the world I'm going to be able to catch cut this. It's going to have to be mulch cut, even if I can get the mower over it. Otherwise, I'll have to whippersnip it all. And, you know, it's long, there's a lot of it, and it's wet. So, and they're going, we just need it done. We want to be able to see our lawn. We want to be able to go outside.
Yeah, I think that's a really asking a lot of questions. And as you said, I'll probably get a few. They probably tell you about a few extras they need done, which they didn't know doing, and they're telling you as well.
100%. You know, like it's Yeah, that's to me is communication. You can't over communicate really, and just ask questions and get them talking. But there again, the old sales saying, you've got two ears and one mouth. Ask a question, shut up and listen.
That's a really good point as well. I was going to say, is all paperwork guarantee? Did you have to use it or no?
No, I can happily say, and again, it's not me. This is the system working, right? But I exceeded my last IT income in my fourth week.
Wow. Obviously happy about that.
Oh, I'm rapt, especially for all the people who are going, what are you doing that for?
Yeah, well, that's it. I'm glad you said that because, what did your friends think from the industry or workmates? What did they sort of say?
Well, look, there were a couple who were very supportive. There were plenty who were going, why would you want to go and do that? That sounds like way too much hard work. Well, yeah, hard work. So what?
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of I live on the Gold Coast, and most of my working life's been in Brisbane. So there's anywhere up to a 2-hour each way commute. So suddenly I get up in the morning, I've got my feet up on the coffee table having a coffee, looking at what my day looks like, and I move to my pace, not to when someone expects me to be in the office. So yeah, there was quite a bit of that. In fact, to be perfectly honest, there was a little bit from my partner. I hope she never watches this podcast. That there was some of those sort of questions from her, but she's started to come around now because she sees not only am I making an income, but I'm also a lot happier. I'm happy, healthier. I'm happier. I'm healthy mentally. I'm healthy physically. And I'm not going to lie, I'm healthy financially. So it's a win-win-win.
I like that, Gary, because it frustrates me sometimes because the reason why I do all these interviews with people like yourself is just to try and give people the confidence that, because when they talk about it with franchising, you always people talk you out of it, like, don't do this, or why do you want to do that, and then you stay in the same place you are, and then so I think it's great to hear from your perspective that did happen to you as well, which is quite common, especially from partners as well. It's very natural. It's very fearful. You've got this solid fortnightly income or whatever, then this completely unknown thing. But It's great to hear that your partner's slowly coming around, because that's generally the biggest problem with us, is that the husband or the wife want to build, and then there's the artist like it's not much of a risk about it, talks them out of it, right? So, but it's great to hear it's a very natural thing as well. So it's why we do such content.
100%. And look, it is so common that because most people don't understand what it is.
They don't.
That's the other thing. And when you start explaining to them, like, the training was a massive eye opener for me. Like, and I'm going to single him out, John Wilds, absolute legend. Like, yes, I had a very set idea of what my business plan was before his session. After his session, the wheels started turning, and I'm thinking, yeah, why not? Why not? Instead of just, I'm going to say it, sorry, Jim, cruising and sort of making a good 6-figure income. Go a bit harder and build something big.
That's what we want you to do. Absolutely.
100%. And the best part is I don't have to pay more to gyms for doing it. I think that's been one of the biggest revelations, is the way the franchise agreement works. And if I can just talk about that for a second, the fixed franchise fee is amazing. You tell that to people and their jaws almost drop, going, what? Yeah. It's the same amount whether I do 10 jobs a week or do 500 jobs a week. Not that I can do 500 jobs a week, but you know what I mean. And the paying for leads, I think, is fantastic. I really do. Once you get your head around it and understand why, I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, a lot of people on the outside don't get it. We put some content out there, Jim, where he says why he put in lead fees, and it's more of a customer service thing than anything. But I want to talk about lead fees from your perspective, because people outside gyms always go, oh, you have to pay for leads, and they don't even, some of them don't even convert into a job. What a silly thing, blah, 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 blah.
Well, I mean, I'd have to look at the figures, but I can't remember exactly off the top of my head how many leads I had in the first month. And obviously, as a new starter, I get double leads and I get a certain number for free. And that's fantastic. But even if I hadn't got them for free, I look at what I would have paid for the leads I had, and I look at what I've earned off those leads. And I've spent zero on marketing. Effectively, that's what I've spent on marketing. So, and that's talking to independents at the green waste tip. That's their biggest headache is where do they find business? Well, I don't have that problem. The business comes to me. It's fantastic.
I love hearing that, Gary, because according to all independents, it's pretty simple. You just post in a few Facebook groups or do some Facebook ads and, you've got 100 customers. So I'm glad to hear that from independents telling you that On the tip.
Yeah, well, if I can get away with saying this word, I call bullshit on that statement. Sorry for the podcast, but you had to edit that out. But yeah, I hear that from every independent that I run into says exactly the same thing: is they struggle to get business.
And the thing with this, as you'll know, they most of them are like they're quality leads. Like they're not the customer who wants the $30, $20 mow. So that's the thing.
I went and quoted a job, and it looks like I've won it. I'm pretty confident I've won it based on conversation the other day. But like it's 2 weeks work.
Really?
Yeah,
that's great.
Like it's huge.
Yeah, from the $12 lead cost order, it is normal.
The $12 lead cost. It's an elderly couple who have been on acreage for 25 years. They've got storm damage from the storms last Christmas, and they can't look after it anymore. And it's just basically cleaning their entire property up. Fantastic, off $12 lead.
And the flat fee as well, like, Jim says, we say to Jim all the time, if everyone says, Jim's worth 500 million, all that sort of stuff, but which is not the case. It's the revenue of the group. But if he would have wanted to be far richer, he would have done the revenue-based franchise system, which is pretty much all of them. But he does the flat fee model because, as he says, like the system is you're paying for that, and that's what it is. And the flat fee model, I think, is benefit obviously to you guys because you can grow to $1 million revenue business, $500,000 revenue business, and you're paying the same as $100,000, $200,000 revenue business. So it's quite a good deal.
Oh, 100%, mate. I think it's fantastic. There's no. Someone asked me the other day, is there anything I'm not happy with? No.
Oh, really? Oh, it's got to be something.
Oh, okay. If there's one thing I wish Jim could control, it's the weather. Okay. No, look, you can work as much, and I've said this to a guy the other day. You can work as much or as little as you want. Depends. It's really up to you in terms of the income that you want to achieve. And if you want to run hard and work 6 or 7 days a week. I'm doing 6 days a week at the moment, but that's first few weeks, getting up and running. That's certainly not the plan going on next year. I'd want to go on back and start playing golf again. But I have
quite common for a lot of guys to do the 4-day week and have the Friday for the golf. So
no, it'd be 5-day and Saturday golf.
Saturday golf.
Yeah, Saturday golf. But it's you can make of it what you want. It's the opportunities there. If you want to earn, if you want to cruise and make a comfortable 70, 80,000 a year, you can do that. If you want to run hard and build a $1 million business, you can do that too. And if you want anything in between, you can do that too. So it's, that's again, the system, the process and the tools. It's just use it as you want. It's fantastic.
And I love hearing how you mentioned the mental health, the happiness sort of stuff, because I've spoken to a lot of franchisees, and a lot of the first times they will say just the mental relief they get from being out of the office and the physicality as well. Like, you got to use your physical energy, rest the mind a bit, and they just feel way more relaxed, and their friends and family say that to them as well. So I love hearing that. I think it's a really underestimated value of the franchise is the health and the mental aspect as well. I think it's a really good.
I got to the point working in an office where it was, and obviously the workplace has changed a lot in the last. I started in IT in 1987. And we sort of came into the recession that we had to have through that period. And, I think there was a guy called Al Dunlap. So it was the Al Dunlap era where, firings will continue until morale improves. That was sort of the corporate mentality. And but you can't do that anymore. And the workplace is all about feelings rather than outcomes. And you sort of go, well, yeah, we've still got work to do, but you can't sort of manage people towards that. It's a lot harder to manage people towards those work outcomes these days because they're all stressed and they got a mental health day and all this other crap. Sorry, I'm going to get cancelled here in a minute.
That's all right.
But the beauty, one of the beauties of this is that we don't have to deal with people that we don't want to deal with. Like if we've got a difficult customer, well, we can just say, well, look, sorry, I think you might need to go and find someone else.
I think that's a really good point, Gary. Like, you can, as you said, you can build the business who you want, and if you don't accept as a customer, you can sack a customer. So I think that's an important thing, and you can build the business to where you're happy with a great customer base and do it your way. I think, as you said, you don't have to put up with idiots or anything like that in your business. It's your business.
No, it's fantastic, and again, it's and not only the financial side of the business building, but also the risk profile. Like what risk are you comfortable with? Like, do you want staff? Let's face it, staff can be difficult, can be challenging. But do you want those headaches, or do you just want you in your truck, out you go, do your job, and go to work, come home, be happy, and fall into bed tired instead of falling into bed bored?
That's a great point. Yeah, and you feel like you've done something in the day. You've actually see what your work is producing as well, which I think is
the key one.
Yeah,
that is a key one. That there is instant result. Yes. Hey, look, that looks fantastic. Here's the before picture. There's the after picture. Or you get halfway across it and you go jungle manicured, and satisfaction is the satisfaction factor is really high, and it's immediate satisfaction, which is great.
Oh, yeah. I remember one of the old trainers said to me, it's great. I get job satisfaction 10 times or 12 times a day. He just focused on mainly mowing. But, this guy was previously working in HR, and you can imagine all the stuff you do with that. But, every 10 to 12 times a day, he said it's great because I get job satisfaction. I can actually see my result of my work, and I can see that. And it reinforces it as well. I think that's a really underestimated thing as well. Especially a lot of the corporates don't realize how different it could be from what they're doing now to what they could do in the field.
It's an endorphin buzz.
Yep.
Several times a day. That's essentially what it is. I mean, exhausted, worn out, absolutely stuffed at the end of the day. But you know what? I've had several endorphin buzzes every day as well. And look, challenges. Sure, every business you're going to face challenges. I've touched wood. I've been pretty lucky so far. Nothing's broken. One of the other guys who was on training, he's in a different region to me. He's had both his mowers broken the one day. He's had something else break. He's had all sorts of fun and games. But so I've managed to avoid that so far. But you know what? You just you deal with it and you move on. It's like the weather. I mean, coming from a farming background, I'm pretty philosophical about the weather. You can't control it. So you just got to bounce along with it and deal with what Mother Nature gives you. And if it rains, you sort of go, well, okay, maybe I can go and do a gardening job instead of a mowing job, or you know what, I might go and grab a coffee this morning.
I was going to say, from a equipment perspective, you mentioned equipment then. So what equipment did you decide to go with? And maybe do you want to talk about why you went with that sort of those brands? So
I've gone with the Honda 21-inch mower that pretty much everybody uses. Again, and I suppose, again, back to what I said about, buying IBM, you buy quality kit. And I was sort of had this drilled into me by my dad growing up on the farm, that you buy quality equipment, look after it, and it'll look after your back. So I've gone, I'm all petrol. Some of the battery converts will probably throw stones at me, but I'm all petrol. So I've got a Husky chainsaw, got Shindaiwa gear, and I've got Honda gear. So all top line brands and sort of best of breed in those brands. I don't compromise on quality. And again, if you look after your equipment, it'll look after your back. So, which reminds me, I've got to do a blade change on the mower today. So, good wet weather job.
For sure. I was going to say, what equipment did you buy at the start? You mentioned the mower, you bought a chainsaw. What else do you think is essential for someone to get started?
Oh, look, mower, chainsaw, whippersnipper. Chainsaw is probably secondary, to be honest, depending on what sort of work you want to get. I actually went and got chainsaw and hedger after a couple of weeks because I started getting more hedging and trimming jobs. So the other thing that I bought at the start was a multi-tool. So I went with the Honda multi-tool, the 25cc one. It's heavy enough and powerful enough. And the tools I've got for that are the edger, which I very rarely use, pruning saw, and the hedger, the short hedger. And I got the extension pole as well. So that got me out of trouble for the first couple of weeks. But as I said, then I started getting more, and a blower, obviously. Fortunately, I used to live on acreage, so I've got a blower, so I'll keep going with that until it dies. And I've also got an old, and I do mean old, it's 16 years old, Shindaiwa commercial whippersnipper that's still running. Again, touch. Yeah, it's a beast. Everyone who sees it says, they don't make them like that anymore. The guys at the mower shop said, keep that thing running for as long as you can. John Wilde's offered to buy it off me. Yeah. Because they just don't make them like that anymore. The two strokes aren't as strong as they used to be because of emissions and noise levels, and the four strokes are a bit heavy. And I suppose that's why batteries becoming more popular, or one of the reasons why batteries becoming more popular. But yeah, so I think they're the essentials really to get started: is mower, whippersnipper, blower, and I would go with a multi-tool to save a bit of cost, because one tool, several different jobs. And then if you start getting more of those sort of pruning type jobs, then a chainsaw and a hedger.
I was going to say then as well, after your first 30 days, what would you sort of say to someone maybe looking at doing what you're doing? Because you have to go through a bit of stuff. Like as you said, you got the idea, you look into it, and you're looking at heaps of things, and then you got people saying don't be good as well, and then you're still persistent, which is great. But what would you sort of say to someone maybe who was obviously being in there for 30 days now, to maybe who's watching this and maybe was in your position? Because the people who will watch this will be looking at it and doing their research. What would you sort of say to them, or advise them anyway?
Oh, look, trust your gut. Yeah, and again, follow the induction process. Because you can pull out right up until the last minute if there's something that you're not happy with. And I suppose that's the thing. Like, it might cost you a little bit of money, but anything that you're going to do is going to cost you a bit of money. And let's face it, point of entry to get into Jim's Mowing, 35,000 tops, including trailer and equipment. So it's the bar to entry is pretty low in reality compared to a lot of other businesses. Just get absolute maximum value out of every step of the process. Like, meet with the franchisor and grilling lots of questions, or grill them. I suppose there are some lady franchisors out there in mowing land. Same with your day in the life. Go out there, spend that day, maximize the value out of it. Ask every question you can think of. Ask, what would you change? What would you do differently? Like I asked that question. The response I got, and Pate, who I did my day out with, had been going about 2.5 years.
Pate Crocker, he's been on there. He's a good guy. He's been on this.
Yeah, good operator. He just said, I only wish I'd done it sooner. That was his only regret.
He's going well, and he uses all the battery gear as well. So he's
Mr. Electric up here. He just loves the battery stuff. His trailer's kitted up. He's got solar panels on top of his trailer. He's got everything, all the inverters, the whole lot. So
I think he's doing well, because 2.5 years ago I interviewed Tate as well just after he started. So I'm really, really happy to hear you went out with him. He's doing well.
Yeah, so I had my day out with him and just grilled him lots of questions, and again, training, engage with the training, lots of questions. It's not too late. I mean, even if you decide after the training that maybe this isn't for you, well, okay, you've spent a couple of grand, but you've got all the information you could possibly want once you get to that step in the process. And that's what I would advise to anyone, is make that investment, because that's what it is. Right? It's an investment. It's not a cost. So make that time and money investment. Get advice, but also be aware that that your solicitor or your accountant or whoever, they're a solicitor or an accountant for a reason. They're not a mowing franchisee. So from a legal perspective, they can advise on the franchise agreement, or from an accounting perspective, they can advise on bookkeeping and cash flow and all that sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, they're not the best person to advise you whether to go ahead with this business. Talk to other franchisees, talk to whoever, but talk to as many people as you possibly can who actually know what they're talking about, rather than listening to the people with no idea.
I love it. I'm going to clip that up, because you said it far better than what we could say it here. So I'm love hearing that, because it frustrates me all the time seeing sort of stuff online with people who have no idea as well. So it's great to hear from your perspective too, as an actual franchisee. So that's great to hear.
Oh, mate, look, it's it's a lesson that hopefully we all learn at some stage. People will try and talk you out of anything, especially if they think that you're going to become successful. It's just human nature, right? Yep. They don't want anyone getting above them. And
especially in Australia. Australia's really bad for it.
Yeah, we are really bad for that tall poppy syndrome. We want people down at our level. You just keep doing that job. You keep going to work. You do that. Well, I want to do something different. And there's a great saying that I heard years ago that says, to have what others can't, you must do what others won't. And any vehicle can get you there. Working 9 to 5 for someone else isn't that vehicle.
It's a great clip, Gary. We'll leave it there, and I appreciate your time today. You've provided awesome information. These aren't paid for as well. I'm telling people, Gary sent an email to Jim, and I generally reach out to them and ask them to come on, and it's great to hear we do these things unedited. So we're going to keep the BS and stuff in there because I don't want to edit anything out so people know that it's, it's genuine what you're saying. But we appreciate you doing. I'm really, really glad to hear you're happy and that you lost 7 kilos in the first month. That's far better than what anyone would do on an Ozempic. Plus, you make more money than your previous job. It's just a win-win.
Yeah, mate. Look, I can't recommend it highly enough to anyone. Look, just do it. Would be my advice. But do your homework, but just do it.
Awesome. Thanks, Gary. Appreciate your time.
Thank you for listening to the episode of the More Than Just Mowing podcast by Jim's Mowing. If you do need help with your local gardening expert, please give us a call at 131 546 for Australia, 0800 454 654 for New Zealand, or head to jimsmowing.com.au or jimsmowing.co.nz. If you liked what you heard, please make sure you leave us a review as well, wherever you consume your podcast. We appreciate your support. And until next episode, we hope you have a great week.